The University of California was founded 157 years ago with the motto, "Let there be light." But these are dark times for the system and its crown jewel, UC Berkeley. Under investigation by the Trump administration, the university finds itself under unprecedented attack externally and internally. UC Berkeley's chancellor sat down with me for an exclusive television interview about navigating his campus through turbulent times.
Free, free, free Palestine!
Past campus protests against the war in Gaza landed UC Berkeley and other universities in the crosshairs of the Trump administration. Recently, UC lawyers had Berkeley turn over the names of 160 students and faculty members to the federal government as part of its investigation into reported anti-Semitism on campus.
Chancellor Lyons.
Thank you.
UC Berkeley Chancellor Richard Lyons agreed to talk with us about these challenging times, including that controversial decision made by the UC Office of the President.
As you know, the disclosure has led to a lot of internal criticism. There have been protests on campus by students and faculty, and some of those who are affected say they feel unsafe.
I regret the outcome. We had to abide by the law, and we did, and then we notified, which was not part of the law, but we felt it was the right thing to do. But many of our people do feel unprotected in that environment, and the idea that there is a legal obligation to provide such information is a surprise to a lot of people.
I was unaware of it myself until I read about it.
On Friday, at Berkeley, Governor Newsom announced an independent review into the release. Meantime, the Daily Californian reported that the UC president's office may have also ordered other campuses to comply. But Berkeley was the only campus to send this email to people who are now on the government's radar.
Why was that important to you, to notify people, knowing that that would lead to the whole thing becoming known publicly?
It felt to me like it was ethically the right thing to do, knowing that people would be upset by it. But imagine the upset if you learned about it and your name was in the files. We didn't submit a list of names. We submitted some files, and we were unable to redact the names from those files.
In response to the continued uproar, UC President James Milliken issued a new statement. This was done as a last resort, taking into account the university's understanding of its legal obligations under the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and its implementing regulations, the risks of noncompliance, and the interests of the entire university community.
I want to go back to the anti-Semitism investigation, and over the summer you were asked to appear at a House panel.
As a public institution, Berkeley has a solemn obligation to protect the quintessential American value of free speech.
You're Jewish. Shut up and get out of here.
Gentleman was suspended.
It is the attitude that you have allowed on your college campuses that make people think that this is okay.
Do you think there's any validity to the allegation that the way the protests evolved here and were handled may have made some students feel unsafe?
Some people did feel like I felt uncomfortable. I felt harassed. I may have even felt at risk, and we address all of those. One of the things to keep in mind, for example, the Anti-Defamation League rated Berkeley, the Jewish life on the Berkeley campus as excellent.
Berkeley has implemented new policies, such as no more encampments, no mask wearing to conceal identity during protests, and expanded anti-Semitism education. But the White House is asking more of universities. Last week, the White House sent letters to 9 colleges promising priority funding if they signed a compact agreeing to conditions including not considering race and gender in admissions or hiring, using biological definitions of gender, and abolishing departments that might, quote, punish, belittle, or spark violence against conservative ideas.
Has Berkeley received anything like that?
No.
Could those conditions coexist with the Berkeley values?
Well, I haven't read the details of that compact. The wording really matters. If somebody says, you can't use any proxy that might even be a proxy for race and gender in admissions.
Lyons is referring to the fact that UC has not used race or gender as part of admissions since California voters passed Prop 209 nearly 3 decades ago. However, critics claim preferences for students who are low income or first generation are proxies or substitutes for race.
Low income is correlated with race, for example. So when we start getting into specific words, it's like, well, we really need to know what we're talking about here.
But is diversity in admissions or hiring still an important goal?
No question about it. And I believe that to my very, very core. I mean, if everybody here looked and talked and had the same experience, I mean, Berkeley would be a fraction of the institution that it is. We are facing some challenges in the UC system. It is as large as any challenge we've faced. I went to high school.
As an economist, UC Berkeley Chancellor Richard Lyons knows numbers, and those numbers may soon stop adding up.
Happening now, tensions rising over the University of California system's response to threats from the White House.
The administration is threatening to withhold all federal funding to UC.
You haven't yet been hit with the kind of cuts that UCLA, for example, has, but you have lost some, and you could lose more.
There were some contracts and grants that were canceled. More than half of them have been restored. There's some agencies like USAID where that kind of funding, which we received some of that, is not coming back. But I think relative to our full budget, so the overall budget of UC Berkeley is $4 billion, right? So we've faced some risks and we can easily handle them thus far.
But more devastating cuts may be looming. While the Trump administration threatens to withhold federal funding if universities don't adopt its policies, Governor Newsom promises to withhold state funding if they do.
Free Palestine!
And at the heart of this conflict is the White House claim that universities like UC Berkeley promote liberal views and are hostile to conservative ideas.
Do we have some getting better to do? We do. I promise you that. We have some better. Are we listening? We are. Has there been enough viewpoint diversity at Berkeley? I don't think there has been.
So how do you encourage it?
So we have a new course that over 5,000 people have already signed up for, and it was just launched this summer. It's called Openness to Opposing Views. So I think that's an important starting point. It's not like Berkeley's not listening. Berkeley is listening. And we're doing our very best to listen, and we are adjusting. The free speech movement started at Berkeley. We don't just condone free speech, we literally support it and encourage it.
But whereas students on the right used to feel drowned out, now it's students on the left.
The school has also repeatedly subjected students who protest genocide to censorship and disciplinary measures.
Recently, the Council on American Islamic Relations labeled Berkeley a hostile campus, saying the university is suppressing pro-Palestine speech. And the school's commitment to free and safe speech will really be tested in November, when Charlie Kirk's conservative movement, Turning Point, holds an event on campus.
How will you keep students safe in those situations?
I'm not trying to constrain free speech, but when it gets to a place where we may be diminishing safety and people are feeling like they're at risk, that's where I need to step in and say this is affecting the mission of the university. Free speech does not give you the right to impede the free speech of others.
It's a tough balancing act, but with billions of dollars for research and jobs at stake, it's one Berkeley has to perfect. That's where the chancellor is drawing on his business background, turning cutting-edge research into lucrative ventures for the university with, as of today, 60 Nobel Prizes.
When we license technology to a startup, we normally would get royalties. Increasingly, we'll dial down the royalty rate a bit, but we'd like to own 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever the percentage of your company.
This is a very capitalistic thing for the University of California, Berkeley.
We need to do it in a values-consistent way. We do need to make sure that a great public research university is taking advantage of the opportunities being afforded to it. Berkeley produces more funded new businesses, more funded startups in the jargon than any other university in the country, and we are starting to participate more in the economic and societal value that comes from that, and a big part of that will get pushed back into the research enterprise. So we're really adjusting our whole economic model.
What is the story of UC Berkeley when future generations look back on this moment?
That Berkeley did not lose its way in terms of how, through its research, through its education, through the service to the public that it does on so many fronts. Berkeley's been around for 150 years. It's going to be around for another 150. We are playing a long game. We just need to generate as much impact as we can, and we intend to do that.
At UC Berkeley, Kristen Z, ABC 7 News.